Hey, good morning out there. It's Coach and Cruz show for June 20th. It's Saturday morning. It's been pretty eventful. I am Coach and I'm here with Cruz, and I don't have power right now, so I'm rocking a generator to get this live stream going. So I'm pretty stoked about that, but that's why we're getting started a little later than normal. But got a great guest today that we will get into the show here shortly. But Cruz, what's going on with you this morning, this weekend? What do you got?
We got, well, I didn't realize, well, I did, but Juneteenth was yesterday, as we all found out. And I get on the road on
Oh,
Thursday night, being a 3-day weekend. And for commuters, a lot of people travel south, taking 152 over to the 5 to go to LA and those places and Monterey and all that. So I hopped in my car at 6:30, turned on my Waze, and I was way away from being home. It took me an hour and a half. Generally, Thursdays are semi okay. Good news is, yesterday traffic was a breeze. I got to San Jose in 45, got home in 55 on a Friday, which is beautiful. I got a 3-year-old birthday party to go to today. I got work tonight, and then we are heading to Capitola for Father's Day tomorrow. So pretty excited.
that's awesome. Hey, let's talk about our guest today before we bring him in. Our story with this guy is about 20 years ago or so. Um, Obviously, I knew him. I've known this guy for a long time, but I was in my car listening to KMBR, I believe, radio in the Bay Area, driving, and I recognized this voice, and I wasn't quite sure if it was that guy. And it took me a few times to listen to his voice and realize it was my guy. It was my guy. Figured it out, but I couldn't reach out to him because this is like pre-Facebook. So once Facebook came about, we reconnected, and I figured out that it really was him on the radio for KMBR doing the break-in sports commentary and stuff. And then we reconnected, and here we are several years later, still connected. And bringing him in now is Anthony Passarelli. There he is. Could you hear all that intro about you?
Yeah, I can. Can you got me good?
I got you. Now, that was the story.
Case
I mean, go ahead.
KCBS, man.
Okay, whatever. Sorry.
All right. It's all the same, right?
So I want to know. I haven't asked you this stuff, so this is the first time everybody's hearing it. Like, when was this? How did it all happen? When did the broadcasting, everything? Just how did it all start?
First, thanks for having me on. I
Yes.
have had a chance to see you guys do your thing. I appreciate it. Um, I think it started when way back before Facebook and internet and all of that. I was one of those guys that got the newspaper and checked the box scores, played Little League, and got into the numbers and got taken to San Francisco Giants games at Candlestick Park and was just like all in. I love it. And so they had these things before phones that were radios that were actually, uh, little things you'd carry around and listen to. And I would go to, I'd have to like, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years old. My bedtime would be at like 8 o'clock. And I had to know what the Giants were doing and I had to know what the A's were doing. And during the summer, I would go to bed and listen to baseball games with a radio under my pillow. And the older I get, the more I hear stories about guys who did that. And so I knew pretty quick, probably when I got to high school and saw guys that were Brad's talent level, that I was not going to be that talent level. So I'm like, how do I get to go to these games and get paid to do it? Somebody's doing it. I listen to these guys do broadcasts. So when I got to high school, I played 4 years and I saw the talent level of the guys around me increase while mine was staying the same. And these guys were legit players that would probably play college. Many of them, a couple of them made high level minor leagues and a couple of them made the pros. And when you're standing next to those guys in winter ball, freshman and sophomore year, you're like, probably not going to be me. So I went to college and I worked for the student radio station. I had internships and I took back then it was a tape recorder and started doing games. And I kind of followed the path all the way up. So it started when I was probably like 7 or 8, and was just like, somebody's got to do this. Why not me?
Were you went to Chico, correct?
Yeah,
Chico State.
yeah. Go Cats.
So you did you do their games? Yes, baseball.
I did. I did through the student radio station. We had a commercial radio station in town, an AM station, and they did the basketball games. And I was an intern there, so I got to see how their play-by-play guy worked, while also volunteering at the student station, and was a sports director there. And it went out, and nobody was listening. We were cable radio, so you literally had to take the coax from the back at where your TV would come in, your TV signal, and put it into the back of your radio tuner, and so you could get cable radio. And nobody was listening, but we were out there doing broadcasts in the rain, soldering equipment because it wasn't working and it was all worn, and which is pretty dangerous. I don't recommend soldering in the rain, but back then we thought we could do anything.
Right. So that's the best time to get everything, you make all your mistakes and all that other stuff that you guys, that
I still
happens.
make mistakes. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But so after that, after college, now you're thinking you really want to do this, not necessarily full time, but how did you get some of these bigger gigs that you've done? And tell us what those were.
Yeah. So we'll do it in chronological order, and I'll see if I can knock this out in a minute or two.
Okay.
When I was working at the radio station as an intern, I graduated from Chico, and I still my internship was over, and I still wanted to work. So I went back home to the Bay Area, and I lived in my sister's spare bedroom she was newly married in Willow Glen, and they wanted to remodel the backyard, or they wanted to tear up the backyard. So I was literally breaking bricks and concrete in their backyard while sending resumes out back in Chico. And a music station said, "Hey, we'd like you to come in and be a DJ." And I said, "Well, I want to do news and sports." And they said, "Well, those guys are a dime a dozen. You'll never do sports. You'll never do news." So the guy made me an offer. They faxed me an offer to my sister's house, and it was for like $6 an hour. And I'm like, you know what? I think a job might open at my AM station that I'm interning at, or I was interning at. So I turned him down, and the guy yelled at me over the phone, "You'll never work in this business. You should be taking the first job that comes to you." So a job did open up at the AM station. And so I did news there, and I covered news stories. Paradise had a city council meeting. So I would drive up to Paradise from Chico and sit there with council members talking about, changing the city plan, and all the while trying to do more play by play. And so there was a minor league baseball, the minor league coming to Chico. It was called yes, but even before the Heat, there was the Golden State League of Professional Baseball, not the Western League.
Mm-hmm.
This league did not make it, and so they had to fold. I drove down to Yuma, Arizona, where they consolidated from Chico, with a guy by the name of Doug Greenwald, whose father I used to listen to when I was the 7 or 8 or 9-year-old listening to Giants games, Hank Greenwald.
Mm-hmm.
And Doug was my intern. He's a few years younger. And we drove down to Yuma, Arizona, and the league folded. Like, they didn't have a position for me. So I drove back to my parents' house, my sister's house, actually. And Chico, the radio station, called me and said, "Hey, we have an opening." So I went back up to Chico. And then 2 years later, the Western League started. So the Chico Heat, before they joined the league, there was a team called the Salinas Peppers in Salinas. So I applied for the job in Reno, the Reno Chuckers, and I drove from Chico over the summit, Donner Summit. It was snowing. It was the winter. And I brought my Anthony's first suit with me, and I changed into my suit in the Burger King bathroom in Reno. And I went and I interviewed for the job in Reno to be their play-by-play guy and do sales and stuff like that. The owner of the team in Reno also had a team in Salinas. So by the way, I had a girlfriend at the time. I know it's shocking. I had a girlfriend, and the whole time I'm telling her I've got to go do this. I've got to move from this place to this place, and so I didn't get the job in Reno, but they're like, we have a team in Salinas. Would you like to come do the job in Salinas? And so when I think I was 25, I think I got the job in Salinas, and I sold advertising. I was terrible at it, and I sold groups. I went to elementary schools and all that sort of thing. This was probably February of 96. Is that right? 95 or 96. So I would have been 24. And the season started, and I did play by play, and I rode buses in the Western League for Salinas Peppers. I wore the Salinas Pepper mascot suit for one event in in the mall in Salinas. I forget the name of the mall, but our offices were in the mall.
Northridge.
There you go. And so we played at the old next to the rodeo grounds.
Mhm.
I can't Municipal Stadium, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we played there, and I did a summer of baseball, and it was amazing. And I also learned that I don't know if I can do this for 20 years with a hope of getting into a major league gig. And that's assuming I got good enough. I was not good. I was okay. But I got to wear the suit for a season ticket holder thing. I got punched right in the you know what's by a kid who was just a little rambunctious at the mall. We sold advertising. The season started. I rode buses from Palm Springs all the way up to Tri Cities, Washington, Bend, Oregon, Sonoma. We had some good stops in there, and I learned what it was like to be in the minor leagues. And after the season, we made the playoffs. I don't know if you guys remember, some of the players on those teams were Todd Pridey. We had Ben Weber, who pitched for the Angels in the World Series against the Giants in '02.
With the glasses.
With the glasses, Ben Weber was on our team, and they had me help clean out the stadium when the season was over. We all got together at the front office, and then my general manager took me to the seats behind home plate, and he fired me. He said, we need someone who can sell advertising from here on out, and you're not that guy. So maybe we bring you back for the next play-by-play season. But I'm like, oh, great, because I was making $1,500 a month. And we got to stay on the Queen Mary. Long Beach had a team. We stayed on the Queen Mary down there. I have stories that maybe in another edition of this we'll tell you, but I got fired, and I'm like, what do I do now? My wife was working at 3Com in high tech. And so we went back to our apartment on Capitol Avenue, and I was out of work for probably 3 months. But one of those guys that I used to work with in Chico was now working in Sacramento there at a Heritage news station. And he said, I was in contact with him. I'm like, hey, I'm out of work. He said, well, I don't have any sports fill in for you now, but I'll let you know if we do. And 2 weeks later, unfortunately, he's fine now, but their sports director had a medical issue. So I drove up to Sacramento and filled in doing afternoon sports for him for probably a month. And then they extended that gig. And so then I drove up and slept on a friend's couch in Sacramento for 6 months. And that was fun because I had my girlfriend here in San Jose, and I would drive up there. And I'm way over my 2 minutes trying to tell this story, but I went from Sacramento to back to San Jose when we were going to get married. And I filled in at KCBS, and then I became a regular fill-in for them. But all the while, I, through my KCBS connections, would call San Jose State. Hey, I'll cover you guys, and I'll send your post-game interview sound up to San Francisco for KCBS to use. Do you mind if I bring my tape recorder and my mixer and do these games? So I did that for San Jose State just to get practice. John Schrader was their play-by-play guy. He was a pretty popular guy down here in the Bay Area. I had my cassette player, and he's like, hey, man, I'm going to be out of town for my son's Boy Scout trip, and I can't go on the road to do a San Jose State basketball game in Hawaii. Like, give me your cassette, and I'll play it for my boss. So he played it for his boss, and I went to Hawaii. And I, as a Rams fan, sorry, Brad. As a Rams fan, I remember it well because the Rams, they did a game in San Jose State played at Hawaii, and we got home on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, when the Rams beat the Tennessee Titans. And so I made a couple $100. They gave me a couple hundred in meal money, and I was on cloud nine. So I filled in for San Jose State. They ended up getting rid of John Schrader because they were trying to cut budget. They asked me if I wanted to do it for half the price. I said no. And through a connection there, I got connected at Santa Clara. They needed somebody to do their women's basketball. San Jose State called Santa Clara called San Jose State. And I worked women's basketball on the internet while I had a full-time job in high tech for $50 a game. And that was travel. So I traveled with women's basketball to Spokane and LA and San Diego. And while I was doing that, I met a guy who hired me to do the men's basketball after 5 years doing women's basketball at Santa Clara. That guy then moved on to the Earthquakes. I brought my cassette player over to the Earthquakes when I knew he was there. And I said, hey, do you mind if I had played soccer, but not this kind of soccer. That's like, there's rec league at Pal Stadium. And then there's, there's like world-class soccer. So I had to learn that. And I gave him my tape after a couple of games. He's like, this is garbage. You need to focus on these things. And they needed somebody to fill in. So I made a career of being the fill-in guy and then getting the full-time gig. From a couple of years in radio at Earthquakes while doing Santa Clara, I also then moved to TV, not because they wanted me, but because they wanted my partner on radio, and the guy who they had lined up to do play-by-play on TV fell through at the last minute. And then I did 9 years on TV for the Quakes. And so I still do Santa Clara men's basketball, women's soccer there, and I'll do some volleyball and baseball.
That's a serious travel schedule there. All that
It's a lot
stuff
like
you
my
did.
it's a lot like my career, man. You just replayed my whole minor league career right in front of my eyes.
So
So-
I mean, the bus rides, the low meal money. Back then, we were getting $15 a day meal money, so that was 3 Burger King trips or 2, and then whatever the press box was serving that night for chili dogs or nachos or whatever. And you know it. I mean, it's
The minor league meal money for us back in 2002 when I signed was $20 a day, and it had stayed $20 a day. It was the weirdest thing for like 30 plus years. And when all this stuff came up, I don't know, 10-ish years ago, they get more money now. But my first year in the minor leagues, it was crazy because I was in Port Charlotte, Florida. We call it the Fire League because it was so fucking hot.
What was it? Was that Sally? Was that Sally or
no? Gulf Coast League. It's in
Gulf Coast.
It's a first short season rookie ball. You're playing on like the big league side fields for the summer. It felt like summer ball. It didn't even feel like pro ball.
Yeah.
And my first year in professional baseball, I was making $850 a month, $850 a month, living at the Days Inn on Tamiami Trail. You can't make this shit up. And then we've got with the way the minor leagues works, and like you get like your contract is like 6 years, your first contract, and unless you get if you get axed and somebody else picks you up, you renegotiate. But then if you stay with the same organization, it only goes up like $100 a year. And then if you get released, you can renegotiate. But if you're getting released, you can't really negotiate much because you got released for a reason. And so I played for 7.5 years for 3 different organizations. So I got to see the coolest thing about my career. I always tell people is I got drafted by the Rangers. I played for the Blue Jays and the Yankees. So I got to see both. I got to see both coasts. I went Gulf Coast League, and then the Rangers moved to Arizona for my first spring training. So I was in Spokane, Northwest League, Clinton, Iowa, Midwest League, Cal League. I was in Bakersfield, and then I got released. I was a 21-year. It's crazy. I was a 21-year-old in Bakersfield in the Cal League, and I hit 260 with like 12 homers and 80 RBIs as a 21-year-old in the Cal League and got released. And it was really shocking. I had but it was the best thing about my thing is when you're in the moment, you don't realize it, but I had like Adrian Gonzalez and Mark Teixeira in front of me. So
holy smokes.
So getting released was like the best thing that ever happened to me. I was a free agent for 3 hours, and I was all down and out, and I was driving to Roseville. My brother lived in Roseville at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blue Jays called me and like, we don't understand why you got released. And I'm like crying, like, neither do I. And we'd like to offer your contract. So then I went from being in Arizona, being close to home, to going to Florida and being in Dunedin. So yeah, I get the whole, the cool thing about it is, for me, getting released, like I said, if you do well after you get released, you renegotiate every year. So in like 2000 and what year was it? 2006, I was making like $2,300 a year. In 2007, I was making $6,500. I mean, it's $2,300 a month. I went from $2,300 a month, and I won the MVP of the Florida State League in 07. And then 2008, I was making $6,800 a month. So big payday back in
Well,
2008.
Brad, I know you want to get a word in, but I want to share a couple of stories. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that Cruiser had all those guys playing in front of him, and you had me playing in front of you.
Well, there's some video that'll back that up. I know you have somewhere.
A slight notch up, barely.
So
anyway,
I was trying to show this real quick. So, Josh, you were affiliated ball, Western League, where we were not affiliated,
right?
And players were making as much as $2,000 a month, or maybe $1,700 a month, all the way down to like $600.
Yeah, depending on your experience and shit like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, but we had guys that maybe made it to AA with the Reds, or AA with whomever, then, stress fracture, and then just released. I don't think people understand. I don't know if it's this way anymore, but back then, a lot of our guys were playing well, then got injured and just got released.
Sure.
And so they had a chip on their shoulder. And so they would come in and, these guys were good players that all of a sudden find themselves in independent ball and making $600 or $700 a month, or $1,000 a month. And our league was not financially stable, as you might guess. And so we had one trip where we were in Long Beach, and we got paid every month. It's not like these 2-week checks would come in. We get paid every month. When we went to Reno, I'd have guys handing me their paychecks saying, "Do not let me come and get this."
Yeah,
because they would go out. Exactly. So no matter what, we'd be getting off the bus and they'd be getting their paychecks and handing it to me. "Do not let me have this." And so, but then at like 1 a.m, they come pounding on my door. "I want my paycheck." And of course I gave it to them. These guys were giant. I mean, they were, anyway. So
yeah,
we would be playing in, right. I am still not. And we got to Long Beach and we were supposed to get paid. We were staying on the Queen Mary, and the checks weren't there. So we had already gone a month waiting, to get paid. They said they'd have the checks for us and I got paid like the guys did every month, same batch. So we played the 3-game series in Long Beach, and then we go down to Palm Springs, and this is in August. So it was easily 110. And the Palm Springs Suns had at their stadium these misters. I'm sure you played in places where it was so hot that they have these misters. And we stayed at a motel in Palm Springs that had roaches in the room, and it was a nightmare. Just a nightmare. So we get to Palm Springs and the checks aren't there again. And this is like 2 hours before the ball game. Everybody's at the game. The guys are warming up. I'm up in the booth, and one of the players comes up to me. And by the way, I was radio guy for the whole summer. My name was not important. I was radio guy. I rode the bus, and my equipment sat next to me on the bus. And so I learned how to sleep like this for like 8-hour trips and all that stuff. The check wasn't there. So a player came up and said, "Hey, radio guy, come on. We're doing a player vote." So I went down into the clubhouse, and they voted not to play. And they're like, "We haven't been paid, so we're not playing, and you're not broadcasting. So you're with us. We're telling the owner and we're telling the manager it's not happening." So all of a sudden, this would have been before I was using cell phones regularly. I get back to our motel, and our room, the phone, there's like 7 messages from local TV stations because they all want to report on whether or not the league's folding. Are we getting paid? But from that point on, August, I think it was early August to September, I finally felt like I was part of this group because they're like, you get a say in this, you're voting. What do you think? We're not getting paid, so you shouldn't be working. But the the kind of camaraderie in the group, the players for sure. But when you are in an organization that's kind of going from spot to spot and trying to play, trying to get paid, trying to live. A lot of those guys had girlfriends. Some of them had wives. They were in their mid to
Sure.
late 20s. One of them had I think the guy was probably 27 and he had a 6-year old. I mean, people I don't think realize how dicey it is. And if you don't get paid for 2 months, how do you pay your rent? How do you
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so anyway, I'm sure you went through a lot of that, but we had some great stories and some fun stories. But there were the brakes on the bus driving from Bend all the way up to Tri Cities in the middle of the night. The brakes went out on the bus
Oh
coming
yeah.
out of the
Oh yeah.
hills. You
Oh
know
yeah.
that. And we
Hmm.
found out that the guy driving the bus was the son of the owner of the bus company who was 15. I mean, our manager, I don't know if you know Dave Holt. Dave Holt was our manager back then, and he pulled us off the bus in the middle of the night. He's like, "We're not. You send another bus. We're gonna all die." So
That's
it was
unbelievable.
something.
So you briefly mentioned the earthquakes, and learning the beautiful game as you wound your way through doing those games. What are your thoughts on soccer now? And like, I think you told me you don't pay attention to it that much. Are you watching the World Cup?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you kind of, and I guess another part of that is like, since you were in that world too, when you watch these games, I mean, the names. So I know nothing about soccer or name. Like, are you recognizing when they talk on, like players' names and coaches and the whole world of soccer when you're listening to the broadcast now? Are you totally like, I know that guy, or just not know him, but like, I probably a fair amount? Yeah.
I should be clear when I said I don't follow it. I don't follow it as closely as I used to. Like
Sure.
on a week to week basis, I was watching probably 3 or 4 games a week on ESPN Plus. Pay for the subscription, and back then I think MLS was Major League Soccer was on that where I could watch if the Quakes were playing Columbus next week,
Give
Monday
a
after the
scouting
Saturday
report.
game. I would watch that game and then I would watch maybe 2 games before for Columbus. So I was really like, you have to, right? And even at that, coming from a non soccer broadcasting background, the folks on Twitter, or back then Twitter, now X, used to love to try and get after me on that. Like,
Oh,
hey,
sure.
this isn't a soccer guy. I was fortunate enough to have a fantastic analyst, Chris Dangerfield, who is in the Quakes Hall of Fame, and who I actually watched playing at Spartan Stadium growing up in the old North American Soccer League,
Yeah.
NASL, I think. So he was really good at being like, come on, like that's not how we say it, and he wasn't in a bad way, but with all the soccer I watched, and my boss at the Earthquakes is like, you don't just watch MLS, you watch the other leagues, La Liga in Spain, Serie A in Italy, Bundesliga Germany, South American leagues, Liga MX in Mexico. Make sure you watch those leagues because some of those players will come in
Right.
and we'll sign a guy during a transfer window. So I do follow some of the players that like 4 years ago when I was really, really a lot closer into it. Some of those players are still playing, but not a ton. But I'll still read up on soccer. I still follow it, and I'm extremely fortunate that they took a chance on somebody who did not have a soccer broadcasting background. And it
Well,
took me a long time to get comfortable.
I thought every time I listened to you, you were definitely faking it till you made it.
Oh no, that's not
No,
that's not a compliment.
no, what I mean though, the compliment side of it was that like you're super professional. Like you know what you're doing. I like you said it. You might have not have known it as well, but you couldn't tell. That was my point. You
Oh,
couldn't
thank
tell
you.
as
Well,
you're
there's certain things I could control, which were preparation and talking with my partner about what we wanted to cover this week. When we were doing the TV side, we have a producer and a whole broadcast team that we would talk about, these are the storylines we're going to talk about this week, and here's how the open's going to look. But I'd never been on TV before. So the first couple of years of being on TV were rough. Like, I'm a radio guy at heart. And so when you're in radio, you are managing the broadcast. You're the producer. You decide what the story is. You have
Really?
interviews that you did during the week, and you would play clips during halftime or halftime interviews with players. But when you go to TV, you've got a whole production truck. Excuse me. So it took me a while to learn that. I was fortunate to have guys teaching me who were veterans, who worked on Dodger broadcasts with Vin Scully, who are like, this is how Vin used to do it. He
Wow.
used to tape his opens, and Vin Scully's, I don't know,
Yeah.
people like different broadcasters, but one of the best. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to have people, one, taking a chance on me, and two, teaching me how to do it along the way. And I think by the time I was done doing MLS broadcasts, I was fairly okay, you know.
Yeah.
But it's more the stuff I do with Santa Clara, basketball, soccer, volleyball, baseball. When I fill in for those, it's a lot less pressure, I think,
Well,
but still fun.
Yeah. Well, you also have the chops now, so it's not as scary maybe as when you were younger. But
Yeah, they were talking about so Kevin. I'm not sure if you guys watch golf, but they brought Kevin Kisner on NBC, and he also does Barstool Golf. Obviously, a good ex-player. He's a winner on the PGA Tour, and so Dan Hicks, who's like the head guy for NBC, brought and Kisner, like, because I watch all this stuff, is like, going into this, I can't cuss, I can't do all this stuff. They're, I'm an ex-player. They can get rid of me as easy as they want. Hopefully it sticks, because he is an ex-player, and people want to hear what a player has to say. But he was like shocked on how he's like, Dan Hicks was like, listen, if this is going to work, we're going to know this thing within the first month, because my livelihood is not going to be determined on how good you are. If it doesn't work, we're going to get rid of you, because this is my career. We're bringing you in, right? Because we think it's a really good idea, which it is a really good idea to get the perspective of an next player. So Kisner has a tough time, because he does all the Barstool stuff where you can cuss, and they play golf, and it's just like an open mic, and they're doing stuff like this. And then going from there, seeing how he acts in that setting, to see him act like he is at the US Open this week, it's pretty amazing, because I see both sides of it, and I completely understand it. But it's cool to see the Barstool Sports side of Kevin Kisner, and they're drinking on the golf course, and the guy's an absolute stick still. And then going to see him with his hair all combed in a suit for NBC Sports, broadcasting the US Open at Shinnecock. That's really neat for me to see as a sports weirdo, to see both sides of it. And that's really cool about podcasts and in the open air that we live in, to see something like that, where you can see both sides of his world and kind of see how it all connects together. It's really, really fun to see.
Yeah. And it's changed. Broadcasting has changed, I think, a lot in the last 30 years since I've been doing it. There's different motivators. It's always ad driven, obviously. So, you don't want to piss off your sponsors or those who are buying the ads. You've also got to think about the organization you're working for. So are you being paid by NBC? Are you being paid by the pro team? Are you being paid by the station that you work for, if it's NBC Sports Bay Area? Are you paid by the school you work for? Santa Clara, for example, they pay me. But we're on ESPN Plus, and this was in the past few years, ESPN Plus has put it forward that they want us to be neutral. So we want you not to be the home fan, even though you're being paid by the home school. So, but then the people at the school I work for and the fans that are watching are mostly fans of the school I work for.
Right.
So you've got to balance that too. And if Brad, you had a great point. I've always thought, like, be prepared, be professional. The mics are always on. And I've been caught before. The mics are always on. And if you do that, I think the audience is smart enough to respect that and know that you're not going out of your way to slam somebody, or you're not going out of your way to, I've done that before too. And that was a great reminder not to do that. So it's, that's my line, is to be there, professional, prepared. But some of the new broadcasters I don't know how to say it, but I think they're
Yeah, it's just
more
it's just the world we live
sensational.
in. Yeah, it's just the
Well,
world
it's a
we
little
live
bit
in.
more. It seems like it's more editorial versus like
Yeah.
doing your job. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna give you my opinion about this instead of like call the game. Like,
But it's
Yeah,
also
it's
it's entertainment, right? It is entertainment. I do get that. And if you're not entertaining or you're not calling it to where a listener or viewer wants to come back, then what are you doing? So that's a balance
fair.
too.
That's fair. That's
yeah,
fair.
it's what like even ESPN now they'll have like I forget his name, Feinbaum maybe or something that comes on and gives you picks. He's not telling you who he really fucking thinks going to win. He's just telling you what ESPN wants him to tell him. Like, oh, what's the bet of the day? There and all these novice gamblers are watching. You think they're going to give out free information on regular ESPN? All they're doing is playing both sides and letting it's so
Well,
strange that people that don't
but
understand
right,
it all.
Josh, that's a whole nother thing. That's just been introduced in the last handful of years, where now you've got DraftKings and
Hmm.
FanDuel and all
Mm.
these companies. They're a business. They've partnered with these, huge media organizations, and broadcasters are kind of in the middle.
That's
And
Hmm.
wild.
so, what do you do? Are you giving your true feelings of how you feel this is going to go? Do you have to give your feelings like your company that's paying you? It's
Well, the other part of that is like you have some insight. You're in the
oh
locker room, or you know the players, you know who's injured, really injured, and who's not. Like all of a sudden, you're like, wink, wink. I bet on us to win today because we're at full strength, even though everyone thinks our two best players are out, or that kind of stuff.
so I will tell
Wow.
you this. I've never I'm not I'm afraid to lose my money. I'm
Yeah.
extremely tight, my wife will tell you, with money. And I get that from my dad. But I have friends that I've known for years that live in different parts of the country. And when college basketball, there's been betting scandals, there's been players who have been involved with baseball, basketball, whatever your sport is, football, that have been involved in this kind of new frontier of you can, bet on yourself. You know what I mean? Like your
Yeah.
totals. I've had friends of mine say because they've got a parlay or an exact, I don't even know what you call it when you bet on 5 or 6 games, and if you hit them all, then you get paid big. And so they've texted me and said, hey, what do you think about Santa Clara tonight? And it's the game I'm doing. And I've done player interviews. I've done watch practice during the week. What do you think about Santa Clara tonight? There, whatever the point spread is against this team. I'm like, I can't, I can't
Yeah,
talk to you about that. But
right.
they're
Yeah.
thinking like, hey, I might be able to get a leg up or an edge,
Right.
Sure.
and I'm like, God, it's just a whole new world in that area.
Hey, so to lighten it up a little bit, tell us a couple like stories that you remember of just like like calls that you've made that were like maybe not world renowned moments like the
Mhm.
Miracle on Ice, but something that like was a big, huge play for that sport at that time that you were
Sure.
there for.
I'll give you one for the earthquakes, and this was so when I started in 2012 was my first year doing radio, and originally I was just going to fill in on a couple games, and then it turned out that the person they wanted to do it or was the main person ended up going and doing something else, so they had me do more games. Um, they made the playoffs that year, and they had an amazing. I think it was that year they had an amazing game at was it Stanford, and I was doing radio, and it might have been 2013, but I think it was 2012. And they came from 2 goals down to beat the LA Galaxy, and it was a play right at the end. And so we had that call, and it was just you could hear the crowd. They had 30,000 people, and the earthquake scored late and they went ahead, and the guy pulled his shirt off, which is an immediate yellow card, and went running around the stadium, and the crowd was going crazy. And that was one of those ones where I felt like I just kind of let loose in the emotion. And I remember playing the call for one of the players in the parking lot after the game, and he was like, wow, that's where I felt like, oh, I can do this at this level. This is MLS. It was my first year at the A league or the top league. And I'm like, that's a decent radio call. Then they didn't make the playoffs after that for years and went through some really tough times. And then might have been 20, I forget. And anybody Quakes fans who are watching this are going to be like, hey, you worked for them. How could you not remember the year? They made the playoffs on the last day. It was a game in front of our home fans, and it was a goal in the final moments. And Earthquakes ended up getting back to the playoffs after a long time. That one's on YouTube. And so every now and then somebody I know will find that and send it to me. And it was right at the end, and it was on TV, and the crowd went nuts, and they made the playoffs on the.
What I wanted to hear it because it was like an ESPN broadcast, the Santa Clara, the Kentucky game in the tournament.
Oh, I lost so much money in that game.
I actually messed that call up. I still have that on my DVR, and every now and then I'll watch it because 2.4 seconds away from advancing to the next round, being in the tournament for the first time in 30 years. We did that call. I did the broadcast. We went to St. Louis, which was like, I couldn't stop smiling. I mean, this will be my 20th year doing Santa Clara men's basketball, and they'd never made the tournament in the years I've been there. So selfishly, it was like, I finally get to go. But the crazy thing is we went to St. Louis, and all of these guys who were 18, 19, and 20 years old when I was broadcasting as a new Santa Clara men's announcer flew to St. Louis. These players an Australian kid who came over and played at Santa Clara, and they never made the tournament. He came back. Now he's married with kids. Cool. Most of these guys are now in their, well, shoot, if they were 18, they're in their late 30s now, and they've got families and kids. So it was fantastic to see these guys. But when Alan Graves, who, by the way, is likely a first-round pick in the upcoming NBA draft, so if you're going to be watching the draft, look for Alan Graves. When he made the three-pointer.
Did I bet on that?
No, no comment. He came down, and I thought it would be a game winner, and so I said for the win, and he made the three-pointer to put Santa Clara up, and then they inbounded the ball, and I looked up, and it was like 2.2 seconds left, and the Kentucky guard that got to half court in like no time. I'm like, oh no!
Were you screaming foul? Fucking foul him.
Well, they were trying to get the timeout, and they didn't get it. But anyway, so I was wrong, because even though I thought there would be no way he would make a shot from there, I got the call wrong. And if you go back and look at that online, if they have the clip on CBS, you can see me at the bottom, my little bald head and my hands in the air after he made the three-pointer, because I thought it would be over. But boy, I was wrong, and that's a lesson for me. Not to do that. But that was a crazy call. The win against St. Mary's at the conference tournament in Vegas to send Santa Clara to the final, Josh Gavalukov, our Eastern European guard, who made the three-pointer against St. Mary's to beat St. Mary's and advance to the final, that was a big call for me. And then a call at the Cable Car Classic. You're going to be like, who cares about this game? The Cable Car Classic, I don't remember the year. Wagner was the team that was playing Santa Clara for the title of the Broncos, at the time, longest running holiday tournament in the nation, where they gave away cable cars to the teams that won, these little plaques that had cable cars on them. A kid for Wagner, and Wagner was coached by Danny Hurley and Bobby Hurley. Danny was the head coach, and Bobby, his brother, was on the bench. The kid, Santa Clara was ahead, and the kid for Wagner missed a three-pointer. The ball started to go underneath the basket and out of bounds, and the Wagner guard grabbed it and threw it over the top of the backboard and it went in. I
remember that call. That's on YouTube too, I think.
It used to be, and it used to have, when it got pulled down, it had over 1.4 million views, because my partner, former Bronco player who played in the 70s, they piped our audio into the homeschool would record the video, and our audio was piped into that. And I still talk to the official about this who made the call. There was no replay. So they decided to count the basket, and Danny Hurley jumped up and ran out onto the floor, and Bobby Hurley pulled out his shirt from his tucked in shirt and started running around the court celebrating the basket was made. And my partner yelled, "Can we swear on here?"
Yeah,
Can
hell
we?
yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
My partner, I could see he was getting madder and madder and madder. And I looked and I was too far away from the mixer. And he yells, "That's bullshit, bullshit."
I
And of
remember that.
course, we then hand over the tape to their press guy after the game. You exchange, here's the video of the game so your coaches can look at it. Well, he's a smart sports information guy, and he clipped the end of the game and he sent it to ESPN, he sent it to CBS, he sent it to Yahoo Sports, sent it. And by the time I woke up the next morning, my friends on the East Coast were all texting me, "Is that you? Is that you?" And so it had over 1.4 million views by the time they pulled it down, but mainly because in all the comments, they would put the time code and then they would put in quotes, "That's bullshit." And so that
That's
was
fantastic.
actually the call that's gotten the most eyeballs on it that I've ever done.
That was. I
If you
remember
can
that.
find it, send it to me because I can't find it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it a long time ago because it
Yeah.
was one of those somehow. I don't know if I was searching for work that you did, but I remember going, that's Anthony there. And
And to be
then
clear, it wasn't because I called anything spectacular. It was because my partner was
yes,
screaming,
and then
it's
there was
BS."
video. He's like standing up, kind of off a little bit. I was like,
And
he's like a
he's
fan
he's
almost.
6'10", and he
Yeah.
was in his coat and his tie and his gray hair. And so anyway, I've had a lot of fun. I've been very fortunate, and I still get to do it, and I enjoy it. So it's kind of like some people. I still have the job that pays the bills, well, most of them, and then this other job is like a real cool hobby that I get to do and
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
get to travel to great places and meet some great people.
Hey, so I want to since we've changed our color scheme because we're not gonna be able to do the show for a week, and we're gonna miss the 4th of July show that we do. So I've got a little red, white, and blue. I'm gonna throw this up there. Let's see what this looks like. There we go. It's got a little
Uh-oh.
score. Okay, a little competition between you two. I want to
Whatever
find
it
out.
is, whatever it is, Josh is going to win. I can tell you right now.
Oh no, I think it could be tight. It could be close. It's American made products or American things.
Mhm.
Are they American or are they something else? And we're gonna find out. I have 15 things, so it'll be
Oh, shoot.
I'll go quickly.
Can I get a handicap? Can I get some strokes on this?
Yeah, we'll put some money down on DraftKings to see who.
No, I need to
who
start
wins
at
this one.
5.
All right. Well, you both are gonna. It doesn't matter. You can be swayed by the other person's vote, right? Like whoever answers first doesn't matter, and you don't get to look it up.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm using my phone for the
There we
pod, so
go.
that's
See,
not
that's what
even
I
my
do.
fault.
So here we go. First thing: is this American or not? Are you ready? Hot dogs. You have
Not.
to answer yes. or no.
I think it's not as well.
Hang on. I got to be able
Because
to
I
edit
think it would
this.
be one of those things that you would think would be, because it's always a part of our 4th of July or grill.
No, but I'm thinking like Hebrew national, right? So it's probably from somewhere else. And we adopted
And
it.
you both are
Germany.
You both are correct. It's yes, German Frankfurter sausages from Frankfurt or Vienna. Okay.
Mhm.
Number
Vienna sausage,
two.
there we go.
Number two. Tie score right out the bat. Ginsu knives. Ginsu knives.
I'm gonna say yes. It's from America.
Okay.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. I'm gonna edit the score to see. And let's see this. And they are American.
Have you guys played this game before? Because I think I'm being sandbagged here.
They're made in Ohio. It didn't say exactly where in Ohio on this thing. So Ginsu. It's just they use the name, right?
They did it. They tricked them. You see all the guys making the chopping with the knives and shit, and like
Benihana.
the Americans are like, fuck yes. let's
Yeah.
use their name and let's create it in America. That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
I'm
on
fully
the fence.
tricked. I was fully
Okay,
tricked.
this one's a little tricky, but I'll explain after. Apple pie.
No,
I think
not
that's
in
got to
America.
be from a
Dutch.
country that does great
Dutch.
pastries. I'm going to
Dutch
say
apple
no.
pie. No.
We got a double no, and
Yeah.
we are. You guys got to help me remember the scores of stuff. Oop, hang on.
Josh is up to.
There's not a
2-1.
scoreboard here. I got to like go in and edit this stuff. You are both correct. It's really just because apples aren't like a native fruit to America. So, but everyone thinks apple pie is, American. As you
Did you
think.
do real research on this? Did you spend time or research?
I did. I did a little. I knew
smokes.
who I was dealing with on the show today. I had to make sure I did. I did all this a couple days ago because there was no way I could have done it this morning with the power going out and all the other
Right.
craziness.
Okay. So I have some work to do here to catch up.
So here we go. Number 4, Budweiser.
Oh yeah, St. Louis, Missouri. Yes.
The company I think originated in Europe. I'm gonna say no.
Let's
You're
see.
probably
I
right.
think the Bush family, aren't they from another part of the world?
I don't know.
What are you doing, Anthony? Where are you sticking?
I'm saying yes. He's saying no.
Yeah.
Okay. And
You're right.
Passarelli ties it up. It's American, but the company is in Belgium. Believe it or not, you'd think, right? Like you said, Anheuser, the St. Louis connection or whatever.
I mean, if you think about it,
my dad retired from fucking Anheuser-Busch. You think I know the answer to that, but hey.
But if you think about it, like America, the United or our country's like what 250 years old, and then those countries are like way more. So
my favorite thing is like if you look at a bottle next time you do this, and I think it still says it. You look at Corona Extra, and it's obviously made in Mexico initially, but if you look where it's bottled, it's in like Illinois, Barton, Illinois, or something like that. You're like, okay,
hey,
cool.
Business is business.
That's true.
Number 4 things that are or aren't American: Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'll say yes.
You're both correct. Change the score. Yes,
although the Coca-Cola. Have you guys had the real Coca-Cola from like Mexico? Now I'm a Diet Coke guy, but man, that real cane sugar in that bottle that you get in Mexico is fucking tremendous, dude. I don't know. I guess it's because they use real sugar. I don't know what the hell they do.
Well, I'll say even before that, decades and decades ago, they had cocaine in it.
Oh, really?
I'm not joking. Not even joking.
No, that's how it first started out. Way when they first put.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
6.
Thankfully.
Number 6, Rawlings Major League Baseballs.
Just the baseball, not the company.
Official Major League Baseballs from Rawlings.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say that they probably make the baseballs outside of the U.S.
So you're saying outside?
Yeah, probably because it's cheaper.
Yeah, there's definitely cheaper, no doubt.
Is it the company or the baseballs themselves?
This is a tricky one.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
I'm reading my notes here. Okay, so the company Rawlings. How about that? That might change.
I think it's yes. The company Rawlings is in the United States.
The company Rawlings, because Anthony, you were on the right track.
Yeah,
trying to help you out here.
I don't know much about the company, and I don't want to be swayed by Josh, so I'm going to go back to my regular line and say outside of the U.S.
Okay.
No, Rawlings is not an American company.
I was trying to help you because you're wrong.
No, I don't want any help. I need to fail on my own.
The company is U.S. based, but the balls are made in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, for how many they go through, it makes a lot of sense to be able to outsource it and make it for half or a fraction of the cost.
Did you see the video of the guy, the kid who brought out the balls, the bat boy or ball boy who brought out the balls to the umpire and got thrown out of the game?
Oh
He
yeah,
was slamming
yeah.
them in the guy's hands.
All right, sorry.
Anthony, have you ever seen in your travels? Have you ever seen Jake the Diamond Dog? Have you seen this?
Yes, I have seen
Okay.
Jake the Diamond
Okay,
Dog.
good. Okay,
I love all those things. We had some great stuff in Salinas, but we didn't have that.
Didn't one of those dogs run in front of some guy recently, and he jumped out of the way and tore his
And
ACL?
injured himself. Major League, right? Was it Major League or minor league?
Minor
It was a
leagues.
minor league.
Triple
Yeah.
A? Double A?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, Jake the Diamond Dog. Seen him a few times.
All right, Josh
Okay.
has pulled into the lead here.
All right, Levi's jeans.
Not in the U.S.
Not in the U.S. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. The company Levi's.
I feel like I'm fucking taking my driver's license test.
You're not
Levi
changing
Strauss.
Remember the company, not where
Something's
they're
telling
made.
me this.
Company.
Something's telling me this is, even though Strauss's seems like it would be Austrian or German.
I'm gonna say no.
I want to say Levi Strauss did start in the United States.
Pastorelli is correct and ties it up.
I strictly went off the Strauss thing. And
If you remember, they were.
It was a
They
head
were
fake
also,
too. See what they did there?
Here, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this. I'm gonna give this one to Anthony.
Thank you. So I was around when Levi Strauss
Found
was
those-
formed back in the 1830s,
Yeah.
so 1860s.
It's a Bay Area company, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually,
And if you have like old school Levi's, they're worth tons of fucking money, which is incredible. I don't.
Yeah,
get
these-
that whole thing.
you got them in
But I also-
1850,
but I-
and they
but
still
I also have
no holes.
I
in them.
also have an 8-year-old and buy fucking Pokemon cards. So what the fuck do I know?
We did Pokemon at our house too. Don't even.
All right,
It's-
moving
it's a-
on. We're on a
it's a
little
thing.
time crunch here, guys. French fries.
No.
No.
Correct, both of you.
We just took somebody's
Are they
idea and
from
made them
France,
better.
though?
What's that?
No,
Are they from
I'm gonna say they're not.
France?
No, I don't think they're from France either. No.
That's a bonus, but that's not going to be counted against you.
Canada.
They
I
are
know.
from Belgium and like a Dutch origin.
What isn't from Belgium
Yeah.
on this
Okay.
quiz?
Number 9, Kit Kat, the candy. Kit Kat.
No,
Bar.
no. I think it's I want to say it's European. I think.
All the best candy is from not the United States. If you've had chocolate overseas, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to say Kit Kat is from the United States.
Okay, it is from British.
Ah,
The Nestle
and Nestle
Nestle Corporation. Mm-hmm.
Cruise
One of
takes
my
the
favorites,
lead.
by the way. Mini Kit
I love
Kats
it.
on Halloween are
Oh,
the best.
the two bar, so you don't feel like you're totally fucking
Yeah.
it up.
Do you put it in the refrigerator or freezer?
Freezer is the best way to go. Kind of
Oh,
like the
yeah.
Thin Mints.
Yep.
Get it there quick. All right, McDonald's.
Oh, right. I'm going to say American. Ray
I think it's
Kroc.
American. I think it's American as well.
The Founder. Have you seen The Founder? Great movie.
Yes, great movie.
Have you seen Super Size Me? That's a fucking another good one.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
both of you guys are correct. McDonald's, you might think it's international just because there's so many all over the world. That's kind of the reason people sometimes don't think it's American, even though it's pretty obvious to us that it was. Okay, here's the
So does-
tough one.
Josh wins, or is that it?
No. It's not. There's 15 of them, so we have
Okay.
5
to go.
left
All
to
right.
catch them.
I'm ready.
Airstream trailers. Airstream. You
Not
like the
American.
camper.
Not American at all. No, I think that we totally stole that from somebody.
And you're both incorrect. So the score
Oh.
stays the same.
wow.
Airstream is based out of Jackson Center, Ohio.
All right.
That
That was going to be
says
my
their
other guess. It
iconic
was either-
design sometimes associates them with being a European camper because of the culture of camping in Europe.
Got it.
Okay, number 12. Score does not change in what is American made and what's not. New Balance sneakers.
Non-American.
I'll say American.
They are American,
Fuck.
mostly made in Massachusetts and Maine.
Josh, you probably don't wear New
Scores.
Balance, right?
No.
When you get to be
Nobody
a
does.
senior like me, they're really wide. Foot.
Wide. Yeah.
And
But-
I was
so
going to say that.
yeah. So I think we're even, and there's probably 3 questions left, and I think Brad's on a generator,
Yeah.
so we may.
We'll see if he comes back. If not, we can talk Giants for a couple minutes. I know
Yeah,
you're a guy. I'm a huge Giants guy.
I am,
Right.
and I'm obviously disappointed about how the season's going. But I think this year, much like the years that I grew up watching the Giants in the '70s and '80s, short of the '87 and '89
Mm-hmm.
teams that were so good, I think this is going to be a summer of keeping an eye on Bryce Eldridge, keeping an eye on um, players. I think they're probably going to unload some of those big names, which is
Yeah,
my
I mean,
guess. If they can
it's
find anybody to take those.
well, I think the one guy, and it makes sense now. Robbie Ray, quality left-handed starter. We're 16 games back. I was really shocked, and I told this to Brad, and he really didn't listen to me. And I said it multiple times on our pods, like, why would you have Eldridge initially? He was playing like twice a week. Like at the time, we weren't 500. He's your number
Right.
one guy. If he's not going to play first every, that's fine because you have Devers and he's making a ton of money. But like,
Mhm.
you need to see what he can do, like in a 60-day span, where he's playing 6 of 7 days against lefties and righties. And it's funny because he's proving me right. I'm not the biggest Eldridge guy, but I think he's helping, and I think he's the kind of guy that we need to keep. I'm really nervous about losing Arias. I think he's perfect for what we do.
Right.
With Kim. I think one of the big 3 guys, if I say big because they're supposed to be really big, but
Thomas Chapman.
Devers, Chapman, Adamas. Just because we're not successful doesn't mean somebody's not willing to take on the risk of what Chapman does defensively and potentially what Adamas can do offensively when he goes to a smaller ballpark like when he was in Milwaukee. He's still going to hit 20 homers. He's still going to hit. I always tell people this, and I say, if you want to see how good people are or what they're going to end up, just look at the back of their baseball card.
Yeah.
Right. Devers is going to hit 25 or more home runs. He's going to drive in 100 runs. Adamas is going to hit 230 and play average defense at short, and he's probably going to drive in 85 to 90 runs. And Chapman's going to play great third base, and he's going to hit 250. I don't understand why, because it seems like at times Matt Chapman could be like a 280 to 310 hitter when he gets hot. He's just that guy that gets super duper hot. But you have to love the way he plays the game, and obviously the way he plays third base is, we are a victim of playing in our ballpark, and that's the reason why we don't get guys. It's the reason why we couldn't land Ohtani and Aaron Judge when all that stuff went down. It's because it's not an extremely good ballpark for right-handed power hitters to hit in, and nobody's ever done it. And you had like the flashes where Aurelia had the 37 home run year when he was with Bonds because he was seeing all those good pitches to hit. But it's not historically a good ballpark to hit in for right-handed hitters or hitters in general.
But what do you think about these contracts, though? So you get to the trade deadline or leading up to it, you're having conversations with teams that are showing interest, but now trying to figure out, and I could be way off on this, how much of those contracts can they get the Giants to pay for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to eat. So that's the game of chicken now, right? That's what this becomes, is how much can they get the Giants to take while not giving up their best prospects?
Right. I mean, I just think it's really strange. And initially when the Giants were okay at the beginning of the year, I would look at like statistics for how they fare against other people. And we were trying to figure out in an earlier podcast, like what our problem was. And everybody thought it was the hitting part of it. Well, now our guys are hitting where they're supposed to be doing.
The bullpen.
Our bullpen, they're 27th in the major leagues in bullpen ERA. Everybody complained about having Doval as our closer, but like we don't have a closer. You can't do closer by committee in the big leagues. It just doesn't work. You can't
Right.
change in the middle of the ninth inning, changing your closer with 2 outs, trying to get out of games. That's not the way to win in the big leagues. And if you try to do that, you're going to lose a lot more games than you win. I thought the
Right.
biggest, well, end on this. I think the biggest misstep the Giants made was 3 years ago when we hired Bob Melvin, the safety pick at manager, and I think we really messed up because I think we should have hired Stephen Vogt when I said it on this podcast. A fresh guy, a new guy, a young guy who's hungry, who's a catcher, who played for your organization, played in the Bay Area a multitude of times. And
Right.
now he's a manager of the year and he's winning division championships with the Guardians, and we're stuck with a guy that's never coached or played big league baseball. So, not saying Vitello is the problem or or somebody else that would be a better fit. I just think it was the last 2 hires, really, if you go back to Gabe Kapler, the last 3 hires have been really interesting who we've chosen to man the ship. The thing is, when you be around big league guys, it's about respect. I'm not saying they don't respect Vitello, but also that he's never been there and done what you're doing. He's never grinded through the minor leagues. He's never coached in the minor leagues.
Right.
So at some point when the wheels start falling off, and they're not all the way off yet because I still watch them and they're still the Giants and they're still my team.
Yeah.
But at times it becomes very, very, very difficult to stomach some of the stuff that we go through.
And that's why I was saying, Brad, while you were rejoining, is having watched terrible Giants teams growing up, 100-loss seasons, all of that, before they started to do things in the late 80s and do things in the early 2000s and win their 3 World Series. As a Giants fan, my coping was picking the 2 or 3 good stories and just leaning all in on them and knowing that you're probably going to lose 3 out of every 4 or whatever, but I'm going to watch this player and enjoy them playing. And that's Eldridge for me. That's Casey Schmidt for me. Back before the Giants started to win with Will Clark and Matt Williams. Matt Williams went up and down minor leagues. And he was a bust. He wasn't going to be a major leaguer until he got over that hump. So that's what I'm doing now is I'm watching those players, even though knowing some of them can get traded or moved or whatever, the young guys, and watching them get over the hump. That's
the unique thing.
The
unique thing about Schmidt, if you're not a Schmidt fan, you're not a baseball fan, is nobody understands. And everybody was busting his balls about playing first base. The guy's a middle infielder, and they're trying to have him play all over the place. He's playing left field now, and he's doing an okay job. He's going to make the All-Star team, and that's really, really cool as a Giants fan to see a guy that's able to play multiple positions and be able to play him decent enough. People don't understand. You can't just take a shortstop and throw him at first base and think he can play in the big leagues at first. It just doesn't work like that because it's a much more difficult position than people give it credit. So what he's able to do, and then they were talking about like Arise not being able to play second. He is completely fine at second base.
Isn't that crazy?
Issue.
They were killing the Giants on that play. Oh, this is the guy you're going to bring in? What is he? He's second in the majors in hits.
Yeah, he's one of the best offseason signings, not only obviously the best one for the Giants, but maybe the best one in the major leagues. Fit for fit where he belongs. I mean, if we get rid of him, it's going to break my heart because I love the way he hits. He took a 3-1 fastball the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, on purpose because he just doesn't care to hit with 2. He knows he's not going to strike out, making the guy throw him a 3-2 pitch with something on the line. I just love the way he plays and the passion that he brings. And don't tell me he can't play second base in the big leagues. If you watch him on a daily, he is completely fine playing second base in the big leagues at the big league level.
I agree 100%.
Well, welcome back to me.
Brad's
I guess
Brad, your mic is off.
No, I hear him. I got him.
Oh, I don't got him at all.
I hear you.
Well,
this happens. I'm gonna leave and re-enter. This happened last time. I'll be right back.
so I think what I'll do is, since you guys are tied,
We're gonna call it.
we might have to call it because for various things we have kind of a glitchy show to begin with, just because of my power situation. My power didn't come back on; it went off, and then the generator came back on. So
You're not on dial-up, are you? You're not on AOL.
well, I feel like now we have multiple cruisers all over the place.
That's cool.
Oh, let's switch spots there.
Last time you left and came back, I couldn't hear you, so I just got off.
We
and
learned
went back
that.
on.
You got us now?
We're pros.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Pastorelli, that since we're tied in our game, we might just call it right here, even though there's a few more. Unless you want to call, I could pick one.
Let's
Just
do
pick
one more.
and we'll go. We'll
All
go
right, I'm
one
gonna
final.
give you
We'll go one
since it's
final
4th
answer.
of July. This one's a good one. Since it's the 4th of July, you have to explain yourself on your pick here, and then we'll cut it because we gotta go. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
The Star Spangled Banner.
Fuck, this is way out of my fucking realm. I think I know the answer, but I don't know why.
Well, you have to explain yourself.
Well,
though,
fuck,
so
I don't. I
might,
can't.
Sure, you
let
can.
let me get off the podcast and Google it real quick.
I'm gonna say I'll start.
Okay.
I'm gonna say yes. That is American.
Okay.
And the reason I think so is because the song itself, I believe, is from the perspective of, was that Francis Scott Key?
Correct.
Was from the perspective of, and this, I have no background to this. I didn't research it. This is fully BS.
Yep.
Is from the perspective of somebody who was watching the war from the perspective of the United States. So he would have to have been done in the United States. Okay. But I bet you it's British. But I'll say American.
I'm solely, and I don't care what you say, Brad. I'm solely, because we're tied, saying no, just for the fact that one of us has to win this game, and our pod is almost over. I'm saying no. I don't have a background.
The problem is it's. I don't know where.
Don't tell me it's yes and no, Brad. This is not part of the game.
Well, it's okay. So Pastorelli's almost right, but you're technically right. So you got it is maybe not a good one to end on. Francis Scott Key is American. The song, though, the melody, the whole thing that we all know and love, is British.
Yeah, I knew there was some kind of crossover.
Is like
new question.
Who wins? You both. We're gonna call it a draw because it's kind of a trick question.
That was good. I mean, I followed his lead, and I had to oppose him just because we were 8-8.
Well, and it's not like I said. It's if you were so close, I would have given it to you, Pastorelli, because you the perspective was British. If you would have said British, then you had both parts, and you would have won.
So what you're saying is an American used the British melody and wrote lyrics to it.
Correct.
To me, that's
that
an American
British
song.
melody was a drinking song.
It was the original. It was the original sampling that all music now is done. So they sampled a British melody, wrote American lyrics. That's an American song.
And that's the other part of it. It was the melody was from a song that's was used as like a drinking song in bars. So every time you hear the master anthem, it's raise your glass, baby.
Respect.
Well, crazy show today. We got to cut it off here because we ought to get to our weekend. But Pastorelli, maybe you come back on. We got more stories to talk about, our days, our playing days, and I want to get you guys, when I got cut off, the Giants talk with you because you're so into them. We've been fans forever. Just having three of us on here to talk Giants, we could do a whole show on just that.
We should. We definitely.
And just so you know, I'm a card-carrying little giant. So I was a member of the little Giants.
Do you have your quad to candlesticks still?
I have a couple of those, but I would go on Little Giants Day, 2 candlestick, go on the field in my Little League uniform and listen to guys like Jack Clark and Gary Lavelle and Greg Minton give little pitching clinics. And I also, next time I come on, will tell you about how I nearly took Vita Blue deep at Candlestick and was buzzed on the very next pitch.
We'll wait for that, but that sounds awesome. And we're also you mentioned it before too, is we talk 49ers all the time, and I was gonna surprise Kreuz with the fact that Pastorelli is a Rams fan, and how we can't probably have him back on now, no matter what, just because of that.
If you don't want to talk about one of the best teams in football, that's fine.
We got to talk about how they snagged one of the best players. All that.
And one of the best corners. Nobody's talking about Trent McDuffie, dude. That's like, nobody understands how good of an offseason.
Yeah, but now the pressure's on. Now the pressure's on. Now you
keep Stafford. Operation Keep Stafford Upright.
Amen.
Well, we'll call it for the week, and we'll get Pastor Ellie on as soon as we can again. And you guys have a great Father's Day.
Yeah,
Happy
thanks.
Father's Day, boys.
Father's Day
Yeah, happy
tomorrow,
Father-
and thanks for coming on, Anthony. Everybody else, subscribe to the channel and check out our socials. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.